So I want you to imagine with me for a second an analogy really quick. This is going to make everything make sense for the most part. So I want you to imagine with me, you want to build a skyscraper, like a really nice sized skyscraper. And in order to make this skyscraper, you need a certain amount of materials. We're going to say you need 3,000 materials. I'm not going to be specific. You're just going to need 3,000 materials in order to make this skyscraper. And every day that, you know, the day goes on where you need to build a skyscraper, you're only getting 500 materials, maybe 1,000, maybe 1,800, maybe 1,000, but you're never really getting the 3,000 materials you need to make said skyscraper. That was sort of a vague analogy, and I took that from Renaissance Periodization, the YouTube channel, but for the most part, I wanted you to understand that's basically what it's like if you're trying to get big, get jacked, build muscle, get bigger in general, when you're not giving it sufficient calories. Now, before we even start this video and I let you guys know everything, the biggest thing that you guys need to understand, and I've been saying this for the past, I don't know how many videos at this point, is that in order to get bigger, in order to gain weight, you need to be at a caloric surplus, meaning you need to figure out, okay, here is my maintenance. This is the calories that it takes in order to maintain the body that I have. Now I need to eat above that so that I can get more materials, get more weight, get more calories so that I can actually get bigger. Now I'm going to be using my phone because I wrote down a lot of the stuff in here to help me figure out how to structure this video, because as you can see from the bottom, it's a really long video and I want to make sure I go through everything, because I really wish someone would have went through all of this and told me this when I first started my weightlifting journey, like 5 to 8 years ago when I started in high school. It was way more than 5 years, but I wish someone would have told me this a long time ago instead of me having to figure it out after a long time of research and trial and error and everything like that. So let's go ahead and start with the first thing. I did the skyscraper analogy. Hopefully you guys understood what that meant. And the first thing that we're going to start out with, and this is the most important, this is going to be nutrition, like I was saying earlier. So you're going to want to figure out exactly what your maintenance is, because a lot of people don't know what this is. So your maintenance, like I was saying earlier, is going to be the amount of calories it takes for you to maintain your current body weights, however many calories you need to maintain exactly how you are right now. And there's a few ways you can do that. You can either go online and do it, or you can use a few apps that I've advertised before called Lose It or MyFitnessPal. I prefer Lose It. It's a lot better in my opinion. And I'm gonna walk you guys through how to actually use it so we can get everything going and you guys actually understand. So let me go ahead and sign out really quick. So once you search up Lose It on the App Store, you're gonna download it, and this is gonna be the first screen that you see. You can choose Get Started, or if you already have an account, you can go ahead and sign in, but I'm gonna go ahead and choose Get Started. And it's going to give you all these things. Welcome, we're happy to have you here with us. We'll walk you through the steps in order to it's going to show you how to lose weight, but it's not really important. I just want to show you guys how to accurately get through this app, because losing weight or gaining weight, you just need to know the basics. It's not really important the specific goal for this instance right now. So we're going to go with let's go. Have you tried to lose weight before? We're just going to say no. What brings you here now? I'm just gonna say someone else I know uses Lose It. Have you counted calories before? This is gonna be dependent upon you, but for this instance, I'm gonna say no, because I'm assuming a lot of you guys are beginners. Would you like a brief overview of how calorie counting works? We're gonna say no thanks for right now, because I don't want to get too deep into that. Have you ever found yourself obsessing over food? No, not really. Does your weight affect the way you feel about yourself? No, not really. How do you feel about... This is really annoying. I'm just going to go ahead and skip through this really quick. So once you actually get to the important part, this is your goal weight. So you're going to set the goal weight, whatever that could be. If you're being realistic and you don't want to put too much on your body and you don't want to gain too much fat, because after a certain amount of surplus, it does just turn to fat. Your body's like, hey, this is way too much. We don't have enough. We have more than enough to build muscle. We're just going to turn this into fat. I would say you should be gaining around ½ pound to a pound every single week. So around 3 pounds a month-ish, around there. 4 pounds is kind of pushing it, but I think 3 pounds is a good range to be. So whatever your weight is right now, just go ahead and add 3 pounds. So for me, that's going to be 156. Click next. So this is also really important. It's going to be asking you, what is your lifestyle like? This is important because even though maintenance is important, there is a certain amount of calories that you expend just in general. Like if you have a really active lifestyle, like I'll go to the gym 6 days a week, that is a lot of calories being burned, and that needs to be taken into account when you're trying to figure out how many calories you need on a daily basis. Because if you're sitting at maintenance and you're exercising a lot and something like that, you could technically be at a deficit, which means you would start losing weight, because if you're going to the gym 6 times a week, that's an extra 200, maybe 300 calorie deficit that's not being accounted for, which could ultimately lose to you losing weight. So we're gonna go ahead and choose, this is gonna be dependent on you. Try to figure out how often you go to the gym, whether that's 3 days a week, 4, 5, 6. You can measure it out and figure out exactly what option to choose on this one. Okay, that was so excessive and annoying. I forgot how extremely annoying that is, but you're gonna want to go through that and actually answer it. It's gonna help you a little bit, but not too much, because the main part that I'm gonna actually show you guys why I need you guys to do this is gonna be right here. I'm gonna go ahead and sign in with Apple. I agree. It's verifying the accounts and everything like that. Awesome, cool, whatever. No thanks. Okay, so here we go. It already loaded up my information and everything like that. I just wanted to walk you guys through it. But here's the important thing that you're gonna wanna know. You're gonna have to accurately put in your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, and everything like that. It'll give you like suggested 598 calories for this, 837 for that. That's not really important. What you guys want to do is look up at the very top where you see the budget and the under at the end of the little bar up there. This is going to be really important in every single day when you're tracking your calories and trying to figure out, am I over, am I under? You really want to make sure that you are hitting this. For me, I would always track my breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything that I ate. And at the end of the day, I would look at, okay, am I over, am I under? And that would determine if I needed to go ahead and make a really thick, dense shake at the end of the day with a bunch of calories, or if I was like, okay, all I have to do is eat a Clif Bar, I can go to bed, I'm good for the day. So make sure that you are really looking at that bar at the top, tracking your calories for at least the first few weeks, because you might not realize how much calories or how little calories you're putting into your body, which is gonna account for you actually gaining the weight that you want. So go ahead, track your calories, put in everything that you need to. Do it for around a month or so until you feel comfortable enough to know, okay, I know I didn't eat enough calories today, I'll go eat more. Or, okay, I ate enough, I can go ahead and chill for today. But you need to be tracking your calories, because you might not realize how little you're actually eating, which is why you haven't been getting bigger or gaining any weight. So I just wanted to walk you guys through that. It's really easy. They have a barcode so that you can scan your foods. They have a little goals at the bottom. That'll show you like where you've been, what your current weight and everything like that. I encourage you to actually navigate around the app and figure it out, but I just wanted to help you guys get started so you guys can actually do that, because I had no idea how to do this and I was getting started. So once it gives you that target, you're gonna wanna make sure that you're 200 calories over what it tells you it is, because it thinks you're trying to lose weight. It doesn't calculate how to gain weight. So make sure you're 200 calories over what it's saying you should be, so that you can actually gain that weight. Now, the next thing, now we're still going to be continuing in nutrition. The next thing you're going to want to do is prioritize foods that you actually like. There's this running joke in the bodybuilding community about chicken, broccoli, and rice, and it being really disgusting. If you do not like chicken, don't eat chicken. Have Atlantic salmon, have bagels, have different things that you know you're actually going to like, because if you don't like it, you're not going to stick to the diet in the long run. So although that joke is funny, you really need to make sure that you're not thinking that's the only way to get bigger and that's the only food you can have. There's so many other foods that you can have. Season your food. The amount of calories that it takes to season your food is abysmal, and it makes no sense why you shouldn't season your food and make it taste good. Whatever season you want, just put it on there, dude. It needs to go into your body and you need to eat it. Don't make yourself suffer going through a diet that you don't like because you're not gonna stick to it. Season your food, get foods that you like. A lot of foods that really helped me was peanut butter, blueberry muffins, Clif Bars are really, really good. I also started getting Ensure drinks. Those things are like 350 calories depending on the ones that you get. They have some that are really high in protein, that are if you really want to make sure that you're hitting your protein intake for the day, which honestly isn't really important when you're bulking, because you have so much extra calories that the amount of protein that your body needs isn't necessarily as important. If you were cutting, it's very important because your body absolutely needs that protein, but since you have such a surplus of calories, the amount of protein that you need daily isn't going to be as important. So if you want to make sure you're hitting your protein intake, make sure you prioritize foods with a lot of protein in it. I also eat a lot of yogurts. Just make sure you prioritize foods that have a little bit more calories. Don't go crazy and start going to Wendy's and all these different things. Like, you may need to sometimes if you don't hit your caloric intake, which I don't advise, but I've definitely done a few times. To go ahead and go out and eat a few times if you need to, just to get used to it. Or at the very worst, just drink your calories like I've been doing, which helps me reach that goal a lot easier. Now, the next thing is training. All I'm gonna say is make sure that you are hitting each body part, each muscle group at the very minimum 2 times and at the max 3 times. You want to be training yourself really close to failure. If you don't know what that means that by the time you get to the end of a set, you should either be able to perform 0 or maybe like 2. At your absolute max, you should be able to maybe squeeze out 2 more. You don't want to be chasing a pump. You don't want to be just going in there playing hopscotch on the different machines, trying to figure out, okay, maybe I'll just do this today. There needs to be structure in your plan. You need to make sure you're training really close to failure, and you need to make sure that you are hitting each muscle group at least 2 times a week. That is going to ensure optimum muscle growth. If you're not sore, that doesn't mean that you didn't have a good workout. Your body is learning to adapt, and so over time, that stress is not going to cause as much damage on the muscle as before, if that makes sense. So just because you were sore this week and then next week when you do the same exercise, you're like, oh, I'm not sore, I didn't work out hard enough. That's fine. Soreness is actually just an interpretation that your muscle was a little bit damaged, and it means that you went actually a little bit too hard and your body's not used to that stimulus yet. So don't chase soreness. If you don't get sore, that's fine, as long as you know that you're pushing yourself and you're leaving maybe 2 reps in the tank, going all out and pushing yourself hard on each set. You don't have to worry about soreness or anything like that. Choose exercises that you like and that you can perform well. One thing that you have to note is you don't have to take an influencer's workout program or an influencer's this or that. And if you don't like the exercises, but because that person is doing it, you're gonna keep, don't do stuff like that. Kind of like what I was saying before about nutrition. If you don't like it at the end of the day and you feel uncomfortable doing it and you're not executing the exercise in proper form, you're just gonna end up injuring yourself and it's not gonna be beneficial to you. If you don't like squats because you're really tall and it's awkward to get into the hole, don't do squats. Do leg press, do hack squats, do lunges. There's so many other exercises that you can supplement that you don't need to do in exercises that you don't like. You don't want to do overhead shoulder press? Don't do overhead shoulder press. Do landmine presses, do front raises, like just do other things, or a regular seated shoulder press or an Arnold press. If you don't like an exercise, look online, look up bench press alternatives or chest exercises, and just do an exercise that you like and make sure you can do it with proper form, because you're going to be sticking with that for a long time. You don't want to be, I'll do bench press today, I'll do this next time, then I'll do this next time. Make sure there's structure and you're continuing to stick with it, because you want to make sure it's measurable in the long run and that you're actually seeing the goals over time. Do not ego lift. If a weight feels uncomfortable or you cannot do it with proper form, do not do it. If as soon as you unrack the weight, you're like, oh, I don't know about this one, go ahead and put it back. It's better to be safe and make sure that you can do it than push yourself too hard to where you injure yourself and you set yourself back 3 months because you're out of the gym. Now, there's a difference between doing a weight that you're comfortable with and ego lifting. You know what your limit is. Do not ego lift and put 600 pounds on the squat and just quarter rep it because it looks cool. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. It's better if you execute it with proper form and actually send the stimulus to the muscle to grow than it is to look cool for 5 seconds at the gym for 2 people to notice you and then forget about you 2 seconds later. Make sure you're not ego lifting. Also, make sure that you are giving yourself adequate rest time. Adequate rest time means you're mentally ready to go to the next set. You aren't breathing super heavy and you can actually feel like, okay, I'm ready to actually do this next set, which is similar to the first one. So that should be around 1.5 to 2 minutes ish. If you're doing like squats, deadlifts and things like that, The rest periods can go into like 3 to 5 minutes because it's a compound lift and there's so many muscles. But in general, you want to make sure that you're giving yourself ample time to actually execute the set efficiently. And you can't do that if you're only giving yourself a minute and jumping right into it, especially if you're pushing yourself close to failure. You're gonna need around 1.5 to 2 minutes between each set to execute it efficiently and optimally to maximize muscle hypertrophy. So I think that pretty much sums it up for training. I think I had everything. If you want, I'll leave some links down below for training programs and also some videos about hypertrophy, mistakes you might be making, and different things like that. I brought a lot of these from Sean Nalawani. He's a really, really good YouTuber, and I recommend you guys go watch him. The next thing is going to be rest. Rest is, if you don't hear anything else in this entire video, if you even made it this far, rest is more important, probably, yeah, I would say the most important out of everything that I've told you so far in this video. There are 4 stages of sleep. First and second stages are light sleep, and it's like awake to falling asleep. It's like that middle range. But the third stage is called delta sleep, and this is the stage of deep sleep. This is the stage where cells produce the most growth hormone to help bones and muscles. What does that mean? When you're at the gym and you're annihilating your body, you're pushing yourself to failure, you're resting, you're pushing yourself, you're eating really good, you're eating a caloric surplus. All that is really, really, really great. But when the muscle is actually built, is when you actually go to sleep. That's when it releases the signal, oh, the muscle looks damaged, let's go ahead and repair this. That is where this is happening. That's why it's extremely important for you to be getting 7 to 9 hours of solid, uninterrupted sleep. Those 4 stages, you need to be going through those 4 stages. Now, in a typical night, if you actually do get a good night's sleep, you cycle through these 4 stages around 4 to 5 times, but you need to be getting the solid 7 to 9 hours of sleep so that you can get into that stage 3 and get the muscle repairing, the HGH and everything like that from beating your body down. And it's also important because you need to be well rested to actually push yourself optimally for the next training session. If you're getting yourself 5 hours and you're tired, well, now you need pre-workout, and now you're artificially enhancing your energy levels, which isn't a bad thing. I take pre-workout all the time, but the thing is, you don't have to take pre-workout if you are giving your body the rest that it actually needs. Now, I understand, I work at 9 to 5, I'm up at 7, I work from 7 to 2 on Sundays, sometimes I work Saturdays. It's really hard not to. Your body's really tired, sometimes it's hard to give it enough sleep, but if you can, it is worth it to cut your phone time in half, maybe cut it off an hour before you usually do, get in the bed and get rest, because that extra hour makes a huge, huge difference. And that's where the muscle is actually being built, and that's how you get the energy to bring that to the next training session to make it the best that you possibly can. Now, the last section is supplements, and I'm gonna be real honest with you because no one's gonna wanna say this, and this is coming from someone who wants to be sponsored by Gorilla Mind and other companies like that. You do not need any supplements, none. You literally don't need any supplements. I think a lot of people forget that a supplement is like it sounds. It supplements, or it helps or it assists in your diet. Meaning that if your diet is optimal, which the average American, it's not, which is why we take supplements, you don't need them in the first place. You don't need fish oil. You don't need protein powder. You don't need a pre-workout like I was just saying. You don't need a fat burner. None of those things are going to help you at the end of the, they're not going to help you. You don't really need them if you're doing what you actually need to do. Now, all of them are great. Creatine is great. It's an amino acid. It's found in fish, like foods like fish and pork and everything like that. It helps you work out. It gives you an extra ATP. All that stuff is great, but you do not need them at the end of the day. Protein powder is great, but do you need protein powder if you're getting the adequate amount of protein in foods every day? If you're eating 30 grams of protein in each meal spread out throughout the day, do you really need protein powder? No. So at the end of the day, you really need to sit down and look at, okay, what do I actually need for these supplements? Because you can spend thousands of dollars on products that you don't need, like BCAAs. Now, if you don't know, BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, are supposed to be some type of recovery supplement that you have after you work out to help you recover. But the thing is, if you're eating enough protein, branched chain amino acids, in protein, there's 9 of them. Branched chain amino acids only have 3 of the 9 amino acids that are already in protein, meaning if you're eating enough protein, you don't need the amino acids because you're getting 1/3 of the effect. I hope that made sense. So you can be spending thousands of dollars on these marketing ploys and supplements that you really don't need. if you're having an adequate diet, which is why I advise you don't need to get any of them. If you want, you can get creatine, it'll help you work out. You can get protein powder just to put in different shakes and recipes and different things like that. But at the end of the day, you really don't need them. You don't need any of them, but you can have them if you want them. The only ones I would advise are a pre-workout if you're not getting enough sleep, protein powder if you're really having a problem with protein, you're not getting in enough, or you just want something convenient, and creatine if you want to make your workouts better. But honestly, that's about it. You got to make sure that you're eating enough, eating in a caloric surplus with Lose It. Like I told you guys, you want to make sure you're training yourself efficiently. Do not chase pumps. Make sure you're sending a proper stimulus to your muscles to grow. You're not ego lifting, and you're pushing yourself relatively close to failure. You also want to make sure that you are adequately resting. 7 to 9 hours of solid sleep. I don't care if you have to cut your phone time by like a third in order to get that sleep. You got to be getting in that stage 3, stage 4 REM sleep, deep sleep, where the HGH is released into your body so that it can efficiently repair the muscle and also give you the energy for the next training session. And last thing, you don't need any supplements. If you really want, you can get protein powder, creatine, and pre-workout. But honestly, if you are having an adequate diet, you're getting enough sleep, you don't need any of them. So with that said, hopefully this guide helped you. I really wish someone would have told me all of these things when I first started, because I definitely needed them. If I missed something or you have any questions, make sure you leave it with a comment down below. If you guys like this video, make sure you click that like button, turn it blue, and I will see you guys in the next one.